7 minutes, latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. The date is May 7th, 1901, just before dawn. Ah, yeah, just about. The sky's beginning to show some streaks of light over there in the east, back of our mountain. The morning star always gets wonderful bright and then before she has to go. Well now, I'll show you how our town lies. Up there's Main Street. Cutting across over there on the left are the railroad tracks. Across the tracks is Polish town. You know, foreign people who come here to work in the mill. A couple of Canuck families and the Catholic Church. Over here is the Congregational Church. Presbyterians are across the street. Methodists and Unitarian are over there. Baptists are down in the hollow by the river. Over there by the post office is Town Hall. The jail's in the basement. Brian once made a speech from those steps there. Along Main Street here, there's a row of stores, horse blocks and hitching posts out front. First automobile is going to come along in about 5 years now. Belonged to Banker Cartwright, the town's richest citizen. Lives up there in the big white house up on the hill. Over here's the general store and Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look in these windows once a day. Up here is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. Here's his back door. Here's Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. In those days, our town paper came out twice a week. Grover's Corner second. And this is our editor's house, Editor Webb. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. Same as Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers too. This is a big butternut tree. Nice town, you know what I mean? Ain't been any very remarkable people come out of it as far as we know. The oldest dates on the tombstone say 1660, 1670. There's Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses, same names as around here now. Well, as I said, it's early morning. The only lights on in town are in a cottage over by the tracks where Polish mothers just had twins, and in the Joe Crowell house where Joe Jr. is getting ready to deliver the morning paper, and down in the train depot where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to flag in the 545 for Boston. Ah yeah, there she is. Naturally, out in the country, life's been on for some time now, what with milking to do and so on. But town folk like to sleep late. Another day's begun. Here comes Doc Gibbs down Main Street, back from that baby case. And here's his wife, come down to get her breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. New hospital's named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first, though. Long, long time ago, in fact. She went to visit her daughter Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio. She caught pneumonia there and died, but her body was brought back here. She's up there now in the cemetery and with a whole mess of Gibbs and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. Here comes Mrs. Webb to get her breakfast, too. There's Doc Gibbs. Got the call to go to Polish town at 1:30 this morning. And there's Joe Crowell delivering the morning paper.
Morning, Doc.
Good morning, Joe.
Want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it.
Anybody been sick, Doc?
No, some twins over in Polish town. Joe, I see your teacher, Miss Foster, is going to get married.
Yes, sir. It's a fellow over in Concord.
Well, I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business, but I think if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Fine, Doc. Never think about it at all. Only like you said, it always tells me it's going to rain.
What's it telling you now? Going to rain?
No, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Me ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated from the high school here ahead of his class, so naturally he got a scholarship to Boston Tech, or MIT that is. Graduated ahead of his class there too. It was all written up in the Boston papers at the time. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out. He died in France. Yes, sir. All that education for nothing. What business he had picking a quarrel with the Germans, we can't quite figure out to this day. But it all seemed perfectly clear to us at the time.
Giddy up, Dusty.
There's Howie Newsom delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc. Good morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
Pair of twins over to Mrs. Goroslavsky's.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Gonna rain, Howie?
No, fine day. It'll burn through.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's getting all mixed up about the route, though, ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their quart of milk every day. Wants to leave them one just the same. Keeps scolding me the holdup.
Good morning, Howie.
Good morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc's just coming down the road.
Is he? It seems like you're late today.
Yep, something wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Giddy up, Bessie.
Howie?
Doc?
Children! Children! Time to get up! George? Rebecca? Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. As easy as kidneys.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Mrs. Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what it is, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours of sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I sometimes wish that you would take a nice rest, and I think it would do you good. Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock. I declare, you've got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he can think about is that baseball. George! Rebecca! You're only late for school! George!
George, come on down.
Yes, Bob.
Wally, you want something or I'll come and do myself. Mom, what dress should I wear?
Don't make a noise! Oh, your father's been out all night and needs to sleep. I'll wash and iron that pink gingham for you special.
Oh, Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like it's like turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama, Joy's throwing soap at me.
I will come up there and slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
We got a mill in our town, you hear it? Makes blankets. Cartwrights own it. It's run him a fortune.
Children, I won't have it. Breakfast as good as any other meal. I won't have you gobbling like wolves. You'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Wally, put away your book.
Ma, by 10 o'clock, I gotta know all about Canada.
You know the rules well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
Oh, I'm both, Mama. You know I am. The brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
Well, I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. It seems to me that 25 cents a week's enough for a boy of your age. I declare I don't know what you do with it all.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphate, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca's come to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradual.
Well, dear, I do think it's good to spend some every now and then.
Ma, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
Take it out, knock it out. Now walk fast and not to run. Wally, pull your pants up at the knees.
Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you do that?
Yes, Ma.
You look very nice, Becca. Pick up your feet! Here, chick, 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 chick. Here, chick, chick, chick. Oh, you, Here, chick, chick, chick. Why, hello. Where'd you come from? You don't belong to me. Oh, hush up, hush up. This is going to hurt you. Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still got that tickling feeling in my throat. Told Charlie didn't know to go to choir rehearsal tonight.
Did you try singing all over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't sit down and stay on key. Won't rest myself without drinking some of these beans.
Well, let me help you. Beans have been real
Oh, yeah. I thought I'd put up 40 quarts if it kills me. Children say they hate them, but I notice they can get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something, because if I don't tell somebody, I'm the nurse.
Like Julia Gibbs.
Did one of those second-hand men from Boston come to see you last Friday, the furniture man?
No.
Oh, well, he called on me. First, I thought he was some patient wanting to see Dr. Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor. And Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy as I'm sitting right here.
Like Julia Gibbs.
He did. Oh, that big thing. Well, I was so old I didn't know where I put it, and I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know? $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take it, I'd felt like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. It's crazy, I suppose, but I've been promising myself that if we ever had the chance...
How's Doctor feel about it?
I did beat about the bush a little and said that if I got a lead seat, that's the way I put it, that I would make him take me.
What do you say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he said, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing about Europe. You better let well enough alone, he says. Oh, every 2 years he makes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough to reap for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Doc Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Doc Gibbs, one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
Oh, yeah, it's a fact. Doc Gibbs isn't as happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked all over those hills, Myrtle, up and down and side to side, pacing it all out as if we was going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying it, Julie, you sell it. And then you'll get to see Paris, all right? Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. But you know what I think? Just once before you die, you have to see a country where they don't speak English. And they don't want to.
Thank you very much, ladies. Now we'll skip a few hours. But first, we'd like a little bit more information about our town. A scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to come and sketch in a few brief details about our past history here. Professor Willard. May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University? Just a few brief notes, thank you, sir. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners. Lies on the old Pliocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say, it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that here. Of course, there's more recent outcroppings. Sandstone showing through shelves of Devonian basalt, and some vestiges of Mesozoic shale. But these are comparatively new. Perhaps 200 or 300 million years? Some highly interesting fossils have been found 2 miles north in Peckham Farm, inside of Peckham's cow pasture. These may be seen at the university at any time, or that is, at any reasonable time. May I read some of Professor Grover's notes on the meteorological situation, meaning precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor, but perhaps you can fill us on the past history of man here.
Oh, anthropological data.
Yeah.
Early marine stock, Conatic tribes, no evidence for the 10th century of this era, now entirely disappeared. Well, possible tracing the 3 families, migration in the early part of the 17th century of brachycephalic, blue-eyed stock. Since then, some Slav Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor.
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment, Professor.
Oh yes, the population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality birth rates constant. By McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sure we're all very obliged. Mr. Webb.
He'll be here in a minute. He just comes off while eating an apple.
Thank you very much.
Stop! Everybody's waiting!
Mr. Webb is editor and publisher of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're sprinkling of professional men, lower middle class, 10% literate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% Socialist, and the rest indifferent. Religiously, we are 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, and rest indifferent.
And have you any comments, Professor?
It's a very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, but probably a lot duller. The young people seem to like it well enough. 98 of them who graduate from high school settled down right here to live, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who has any questions for Mr. Webb?
Mr. Webb, is there
Yes.
much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, not much. I don't know what you mean by much. Come to think of it, Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down at Ellery Greenhouse Stable, and they holler some. We've got one or two town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I wouldn't say liquor is a regular thing in the home, except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bites, you know. Always has been.
Is there anyone else with any questions?
Is there no one in the town aware of?
Come forward, will you, where we can all hear you. What was that you wanted to ask?
Is there no one in the town aware of social injustice or industrial inequality?
Oh, yes. Something terrible. Seems like everybody's always talking about who's rich and who's poor.
And why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess that we're all hunting for a way that the diligent and sensible can rise to the top, and the lazy and quarrelsome sink to the bottom. Meantime, we do what we can to help those who can't help themselves, but those who can, we leave them alone.
Mr. Webb,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
No, ma'am, there isn't much. Not in the sense that you're meaning, anyways. Come to think of it, some of the girls play piano over a high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture, but maybe now's the time to tell you we have a lot of pleasures of a kind here in Grover's Corners. We like the sun coming up over the mountains in the mornings. And we like the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the change of the seasons. But them other things, you're right, ma'am, there ain't much. Robinson Crusoe in the Bible and Handel's Largo, we all know about that. And Whistler's Mother, but that's just about as far as we go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Webb. Now we'll get back to the town. It's 2 o'clock. All 2,642 have had their lunches and all the dishes have been washed. The children are at school. There's a buzzing and a humming coming from the school buildings. A couple of buggies on Main Street, horses dozing at the hitching blocks. There's an early afternoon calm to the town. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is over there in his office tapping people and making them say ah. And over there, Mr. Webb's pushing his lawnmower. 1 man in 10 thinks that's a privilege.
Oh, I can't, Louise. I gotta go home and help my mother. I'm sorry. I promise.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Oh, hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From our window up there, I can just see your head at nights when you're working on your homework.
Why? Can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how anyone can sit still that long. I guess you must like school.
Well, I always feel as if it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you say? We might work out a kind of hint system from your window to mine. And every once in a while, when I get stuck on an algebra problem, you can give me a hint or two. I don't mean the answer, Emily. Of course not. Just a hint.
Well, I guess hints are allowed. So, George, if you get stuck, you whistle over to me, and I'll give you a hint.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
Well, I figure it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah, but I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm. And he says that when I'm ready, I can just start working. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house? And everything?
Yep. Well, I better be getting off to the baseball field. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come help me string some of these beans for the winter. Well, George gives himself a real conversation, didn't he? My, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. Must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today. I was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off of spool. I'm going to make speeches my whole life. Are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously, you're not serious.
Seriously? Will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. Both my children got good features. I'd be ashamed if they had.
Mama, that's not... that's not what I mean. What I mean is... Am I pretty?
I've already told you yes. Now that's enough of that. You know some pretty face. I've never heard of such foolishness.
Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was. If I do say so myself. I was the prettiest girl in town next to Mamie Cartwright.
But Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people to notice me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now, bring that bowl with you.
Mama, no help at all.
Now, I think this is a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interest had begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say, and they've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people 1,000 years from now to dig up. Of course, they're putting a copy of the New York Times and the Grover's Corners Sentinel. We're awfully interested in this kind of thing because some scientific fellows have found a way of painting all that reading matter with a type of glue, silicate glue, that'll make it keep 1,000, 2,000 years. We're putting in a copy of the Bible and the Constitution of the United States and William Shakespeare's plays. What do you think, folks? What do you say? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it, and all we know about them is the names of some of their kings and some copies of wheat contracts and the sales of slaves. Yet, every night, the father came home from his work and the family sat down to supper and smoke went up the chimney, same as here. And even in Greece and Rome, all we know about them is what we can piece together from the joking poems and comedies they wrote for the theater back then. So, I'm having a copy of this play put in the cornerstone so that people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us. More than the Treaty of Versailles or the Lindbergh fight. You see what I mean? So, people 1,000 years from now. This is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, and in our marrying, and in our living, and in our dying. Now we'll get back to the town. It's evening. You can hear the choir practice going on in the Congregational Church over there. All the children are at home doing their homework. The day is winding down like a tired clock.
a pleasure. Now try it again. Softer. Stop. Now look here. Everybody get it out of your head that music's only good when it's loud. Leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't even beat them if you wanted to. Now again, temper.
Emily.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can't work at all. Moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Yes, George. That's the easiest of them all.
I just don't see it. What do you say, Emily? Could you give me one of those hints?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer is in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh, square yards.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Square yards of wallpaper. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. I can't work at all. Moonlight's so terrible. Choir practice going on. I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Kuntukuk.
Well, what do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily.
Good night, George.
Oh, George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Bob.
And remember, Sunday, take the second verse real soft and sort of die out at the end. Ready?
Make yourself comfortable, George. Only keep you a minute. George, how old are you?
Me? I'm 16, almost 17.
What do you want to do when school's over?
Well, you know, Pa. I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
You'll be willing, will you, to get up early to milk and feed the stock? And you'll be able to hoe and hay all day?
Of course I will. What do you mean?
Well, George, while I was in my office this morning, I heard a funny sound. And what do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother. Getting up early in the morning, cooking meals all day long. Washing and ironing, and still she has to chop wood. I suppose she just got tired of asking you. Decided it was easier to do it herself. And you eat her meals, and put on the clothes she keeps nice for you. And you run off and play baseball, like she's some hired girl we keep around the house, but we don't like very much. Well, George, I knew all I had to do was bring your attention to it. Here's a handkerchief, son. George, I've decided to raise your spending money, 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's sort of a present you give her. But because you're getting older, George, and I imagine there are lots of things you must find to do with it.
Thanks, Pa.
I suppose Rebecca ought to feel she has some more, too. Wonder what could be keeping your mother so long. Choir practice never was as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't know why she's in that old choir practice anyway. She hasn't got any more voice than an old crow. And traipsing around the streets at this hour of the night. Well, George, just about time you retired, don't you think?
Yes, Pa.
Good night, Mom. Good night, Mr. Foster. Oh, to Mr. Webb, I know who won't put in the paper.
Oh my, it's late.
Good night, Irma.
Real nice choir practice, won't it? Myrtle Webb, will you look at that moon? Potato weather for sure.
Well, naturally. I didn't want to say so in front of those others, but now that we're alone, really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Simon Simpson.
Oh, Luella!
For Julia had the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year.
Luella!
Julia, you know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella, we all know about Mr. Simpson and the problems that he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson keeps him on at his job, the best thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I've been in this choir practice twice as long as you have. Hasn't happened anywhere near so often. I hate to go to bed on a night like this. Children be staying out till all hours. Good night, Luella. Julia.
Good night, Myrtle. Can you get home safe, Luella?
Oh, it's bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling out the windows now. You'd think we'd been to a dance where the menfolk carry on. Good night, Julia.
Good night, Luella.
See you on Sunday.
See you then. Well, we had a real good time.
You're late enough.
Why, Frank, it ain't any later than usual.
And you traipsing around the corner to gossip with a lot of hens.
Now, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell my heliotrope in the moonlight. Isn't that lovely? What did you do all the time I was away?
Well, I read, as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Oh, believe me, Frank, there's something to gossip about.
Simon Simpson far gone, was he?
Worst I've ever seen him. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't keep forgiving him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Simpson's affairs than anybody in this town. Some people aren't made for small town life. I don't know how that'll end, but there's nothing we can do but just leave it alone. Come on, let's go in.
Oh, no, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to see that you get a good, real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, let's not go over this again.
Why, Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, it's getting late. First thing you know, you'll catch a cold. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. You'll have your wood chopped. For a while, anyway. No, start getting upstairs.
Why, there always seems so much to pick up in this house. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. Most people up that part of town do.
They're all getting citified. That's the trouble with them. They haven't got anything fit to burgle, and everyone knows it.
Yeah, Rebecca, there's only room for one in this window.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George, do you know what I think? I think the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and someday there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting near, all of the scientists who stayed up at night just to watch it would tell someone about it, and it would be in all the papers.
George, is the moon shining on South America, Canada, and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
"9:30 in Grover's Corners. Most of the lights are out. Tonight I will be taking the role of the constable. Here comes Mr. Webb down Main Street after putting his paper to bed."
Evening, Bill.
"Evening, Mr. Webb."
Quiet meeting tonight.
"Indeed."
So quiet?
"Yes, Simon Stimson's rolling around. Just saw his wife moving out to hunt him down. But I turned the other way. Ah, there he is.
Good evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down for the night. Do you mind if I walk a long ways with you? Well, good night, Simon. You take care.
I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
He's seen a peck of trouble or two. Bill, if you see my boy smoking any cigarettes, would you give him a word for me? He really thinks a lot of you.
I don't think he's smoking no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Leastway, no more than 2 or 3 a year.
Well, let's hope not. Good night.
Good night.
Myrtle, is that you?
No, it's me, Papa.
What are you doing out of bed?
Oh, I don't know. I just can't sleep yet. Moonlight's so wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs' heliotropes. Can you smell them?
Yes, I suppose so. Haven't any troubles on your mind, have you?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, don't let your mother catch you. Good night.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Crowfoot got from her minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope the address was like this. It said, Jane Crowfoot, the Crowfoot Farm, Roberts Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
Listen, it's not finished. United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
Well, what do you know?
Yep, and the postman got it just the same.
You don't say.
That's the end of the first act, friends. You can go out and smoke now, those of you that smoke. 3 years have gone by. The sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit more, and the rains have brought down the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born have begun talking regular sentences. Some people that thought to themselves right young and spry have found they can't fight down to the flight of stairs like they used to without their hearts fluttering a little. All this can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Yes, the mountain got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water have gone by the mill, and here and there a new home has come up underneath the roof. Almost everybody in the world gets married. You know what I mean? In our town, there aren't hardly any exceptions. Almost everybody climbs into their graves married. The first act was called the Déluge. This act is called Love and Marriage. So, it's 3 years later. It's July 7th, 1904, just before dawn, and just after high school commencement. That's about the time most of our young people jump up and get married. It seems as soon as they've passed their final examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's orations, they feel themselves fit to be married. So, like I said, it's early morning. Only this time it's been raining. It's been pouring and thundering. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's garden there, drenched. All those bean poles and peas drenched. All day yesterday, the rain looked like curtains being blown along Main Street. I don't know. They begin any minute again. There's a 5:10 train for Boston. Here come Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb down to get their breakfast, just as if this was any ordinary day. Now, I don't need to point out to the women in the audience that these two ladies they see before them. These two ladies cooked 3 meals a day, one for 20 years and the other for 40, and no summer vacation. They raised 2 children apiece, cleaned and washed the house, and never had no nervous breakdown. Never thought themselves hard of use, either. It's like what one of those Midwest poets said. You gotta love life to have life, you gotta have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Giddy up, Bessie!
Here comes Howard Newsom and Bessie delivering the milk. And here comes Cy Crowell delivering the paper like his brother before him.
Morning, Cy.
Morning, Howie.
Anything in the papers I ought to know about?
Nothing much, except we're losing about the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corner's ever had.
I reckon he is.
And now all he'll be doing is pitching hay.
Whoa, Bessie. Guess I can stop and talk if I mind to.
He can hit too, and run bases.
Aye, mighty fine ball player.
I can see how he can do something like that. Just get married. Would you know, Howie?
Can't say, Cy. Never had a talent for such things. Cy. Morning, Mrs. Gibbs.
Good morning, Howie.
Shame about the weather. It's been raining so hard, thought maybe it would clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How many milk bottles do you want again?
Oh, I'm going to have a house full of relations, Howie. It looks to me that I'll need 3 milk and 2 of cream.
3 milk and 2 of cream. My wife says to tell you special that she hopes that your company will be happy. No, they will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. And tell your wife I hope she makes it to the wedding.
She can. She'll get there if she can. Morning, Mrs. Webbs.
Oh, more, Miss Newsom. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Oh, sure thing. And 2 of cream.
Well, it's not real.
No, I was just saying to Mrs. Gibbs about how I think maybe it'll clear up. Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you that she'll hope they'll be happy. I know they will.
Thank you. And thank you, Miss Newsom. I'll count on seeing you guys at church.
Oh, we couldn't miss that. Giddy up, Bessie.
Well, Ma, day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Thank you! Don't you say another word! I feel like crying every minute! Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself. Only there ain't an awful lot to shave. Whistling and singing, like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then, I hear him say, I do, to the mirror, but don't sound awful convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how he'll get along. I've washed his clothes, seen that his beard dry, and that he's got more things on. They're too young, Frank. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch his death of cold within a week.
I remember our wedding morning, Julia.
Oh, now don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
I was the scaredest young fella in all of New Hampshire. I thought I'd made a mistake for sure. When I saw you walking down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Only trouble was, I'd never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church, marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. I made something special for you.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast!
Ain't hard to make. And I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Oh, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Ah, yeah. I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gangling thing, I tell you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in the world as a son. The relation between father and son is the darndest awkwardest.
Well, mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
They'll have a lot of troubles, I suppose. But that's none of our business. Everyone has a right to their own business.
People are meant to live 2 by 2 in this world. It ain't natural to be lonesome.
Julia, do you know one of the things I was most scared of when I married you?
Oh, go along with you.
I was afraid we didn't have enough material for conversation. One lasts us a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out and eat our meals in silence. That's a fact. Well, you know, you and I have been having meals for over 20 years now, and without any noticeable barren spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather, it ain't very choice, but I always find something good to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring around upstairs?
No? Only time of the year she hasn't been managing everyone's business up there. She's up in her room. I got the idea she's crying.
Lord's sakes, this has got to stop! Rebecca! Rebecca, come and get your breakfast!
Morning, everyone. Only 4 more hours to live.
George, kids, where are you going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Now, George, you put on your rubbers. It is raining in torrents. You don't go out of this house without you're prepared for it.
Oh, Ma, it's just a step.
You'll catch your death of cold and come all through the service.
George, listen to your mother.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all sorts of weather. But while you're in my house, you'll live wisely. Thank you very much. And perhaps Mrs. Webb isn't used to callers at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
Be back in a minute. Morning, Mother Webb.
Oh, good morning, George. Goodness, you frightened me. Now, George, I hate to say it. You can stand here a minute out of the rain, but George, you understand I can't let you in.
Why not?
Why, George, you know the rules as well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on his wedding day, not until he sees her in church.
Oh, that's just superstition. Well, you don't believe in that superstition, do you, Mr. Webb?
There's a lot of common sense in superstition, George.
Millions have followed it, George, and don't you be the first to find face of custom.
How's Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet.
Emily's asleep?
No wonder. We're up all hours sewing and packing. Now, George, I'll tell you what I do. You sit down here a minute with Mr. Webb and drink this cup of coffee, and I'll go upstairs see if you don't come down and surprise you. There's some bacon too if you want, but don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
I'm fine. Mr. Webb, what kind of common sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, George, on the wedding morning, a girl's head's full of, you know, clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
I suppose.
A girl's apt to be a mite nervous on her wedding day.
Yeah, guess I never really thought of that. Boy, I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived has felt that way, George. But for now, it's the women folk who put up weddings, and they've got it all their own. A man looks mighty small, standing up there next to those good women, making sure the knots tied in a mighty public way.
Well, you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Don't get me wrong, George. Marriage, it's a wonderful thing. A very wonderful thing. Don't forget that.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, I'd taken some time to go to college and get settled in. But Mrs. Webb, she wasn't much older than what Emily is. Oh, age hasn't got much to do with it, compared to other things.
Were you going to say something, Mr. Webb?
I don't know. Was I going to? George, let me give you some advice my father told me on my wedding day. Charles, he said, first thing you do, make sure your wife knows that you're in charge. The first thing that you do, give her an order, even if it doesn't make sense. Just let her know you're the boss, you're in charge. Oh, and the most important thing he said, most important thing, never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
Well, I couldn't exactly...
So I took the opposite of his advice, and I've been happy ever since. Let that be a lesson to you. Never to take advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Oh, yes. Uncle Luke never got into raising chickens much, but I've been figuring on reading up.
A good book came in my office the other day. Philo System of Raising Chickens. I wish you'd read it. I've been thinking of starting in a small way myself. I have an incubator in the back. And as soon as I get some baby chickens...
Charles Webb, are you talking about that incubator again? I thought you could talk about things worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boys some advice, maybe I should go upstairs.
George, Emily's got to come down and eat her breakfast. She sends you her love, but she doesn't want to lay her eyes on you. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Well, Myrtle, seems like you've forgotten about the even older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
The bridegroom should never see his father-in-law on or anywhere near the wedding. Remember that.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Now, I have to interrupt here again. You see, we want to know a bit more about this wedding, this decision to spend a lifetime together. You all remember what it's like. You're 21 or 22, and you make some decisions, then whoosh, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired lady by your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? George and Emily are going to show us now the conversation that they had when they discovered that, as the saying goes, they were made for one another. But first, before they do that, I want you to think back to the days when you were very young, and particularly the days when you were first in love. When you don't quite hear everything that's said to you, and you don't quite see the road that you're in, you're just a little bit crazy. Can you remember that, please? Now, George and Emily are going to be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected senior class president, and as this is June, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. Here they come down Main Street now.
Sorry. Oh, Ernestine! Can you come over tonight and do Latin? Isn't that just sort of the worst thing? Well, tell your mother you have to. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Emily, could I carry your books home for you?
Thank you. It isn't far.
Excuse me, 1 minute. Would you, Emily? Say, Bob, if I'm a little late, start practice without me, and give Herb some long high ones.
All right.
I'm awful glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've just been treating me awful funny lately.
Well, George, now that you asked me, might as well say it right out. Oh, goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
Well, George, I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I've just got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
Change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot. And I used to watch you while you did everything. Because we've been friends so long. And then you started spending all your time at baseball. And you never stopped to speak to anybody anymore. Not to really speak. Not even to your own family you didn't. And George, it's a fact. Ever since you're elected captain of the baseball team, you've been so awful stuck up and conceited, and all the girls say so, and it hurts me to hear him say it. But I just got to agree with him a little, because it's true.
Gosh, Emily, I never knew that such a change had come over me. I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have some faults creep into his character.
Well, I expect a man to be perfect. I think he should be.
Well, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is. As far as I can see, yours is. So why on earth shouldn't you be too?
Well, I think it's the other way around. That men are naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as a man. As girls, we're more nervous. I'm sorry I said all that about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily...
And suddenly I can see it's not the truth at all. And it doesn't matter anymore anyway.
Emily, would you like to get an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Yes, thank you. I would.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Mrs. Slocum.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What can I get for you? Why, Emily Webb, what have you been crying about?
She got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. That hardware store wagon nearly ran her over. Yeah, everyone says Tom Huckins drives like a crazy person.
Here you are, Emily. Take a long drink of water. You look all shook up. I tell you, you gotta look both ways before crossing Main Street these days. It gets worse every year. What do you have?
All the strawberry phosphate, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily. Have an ice cream soda with me.
Well,
2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to tell you something. There are 225 horses in Grover's Corners this minute that I am talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday. Now they're bringing these automobiles. Seems the best thing to do now is just to stay home. That's what I say. Why, I remember when dogs used to sleep in Main Street and nothing ever came to disturb them. There you are. Yes, Mrs. Ellis, be there with you in a minute. What can I get for you?
so expensive.
No, Emily. Don't think of that. We're celebrating our election. And then, you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend who tells me all the things that ought to be told to me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that. I don't know why I said it. You're...
Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. But you'll see. I'm going to change so quick, you bet I'm going to change. And, Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
Yes?
Emily, if I go away to State Agriculture College next year, would you write me a letter every once in a while?
I certainly will. Certainly will, George. You know, it certainly seems like being away 3 years, you get out of touch with things here in Grover's Corners. You know, it's not a very important town when you think of all of New Hampshire, but I think it's a very nice place.
The day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything about our town. I know that much is true, Emily.
Well, I'll try to make the letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if I should go to agriculture school. You know, to be a good farmer.
Oh, George!
Yeah, and some of them say it's not worth it. You can get all of that stuff anyway in the pamphlets the government sends out. And my Uncle Luke's getting old. He's about ready to retire, and for me to take over the farm. Tomorrow, if I could.
Hi.
And like you say, going all those places and meeting other people, if something like that can happen, I don't want to go. I bet new people probably aren't any better than old ones. In fact, I bet they almost never are.
But George, maybe it's important for you to go and learn all that about cattle judging, soils, and those things. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm glad you talked to me about that fault in my character. What you said was true, but there was one thing wrong with it. That's when you said that I was noticing people. Like, well, you, for instance. You said you were watching me when I did everything. Well, I was doing the same to you the whole time. Why, sure. I always thought of you as one of the chief people I thought of. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were with. And for 3 days now, I've been trying to walk home with you, but something always got in the way. And yesterday I was waiting by the corner for you, and, well, you walked home with Miss Corcoran.
Oh, George. Well, it's awful funny. How could I have known that? I thought that...
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. I feel that when you've met someone you're fond of, I mean, someone who's fond of you too, and who likes you well enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that's just as important as going to school is, and even more so.
I think it's very important too.
So I guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes. Yes.
Wait there just a minute, Emily, and I'll walk you home. Mr. Morgan, I'm going to have to go home to get the money to pay you for this.
What's that? George Gibbs, do you mean to tell me?
Yes, but I had my reasons. Here, take my watch until I get back.
That's all right, George. I'll trust you.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, George. Not a day over. Gotten all over your shock, Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
I'm ready.
Now, we'll get back to the wedding. In this play, I take the part of the minister. That gives me the right to say a few things more. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go into a wedding. We can't get them all into one wedding, naturally. Especially not one in Grover's Corners, where weddings are mighty short and plain. Yes, for a while now, the play gets pretty serious. You see, some churches say that weddings are a sacrament. Now, I don't quite know what that means, but I can guess. Like Mrs. Gibbs said earlier, people are supposed to live 2 by 2. This is a good wedding. The people are pretty young, but they're from a good state and they choose right. The real hero of this scene isn't even on stage at all. You all know who that is. Like one of those European fellas said, every time a child is born into the world, it's nature's attempt at making a perfect human being. Maybe she's trying to make the next good governor of New Hampshire. That's what Emily hopes. And let's not forget the other witnesses at this wedding, the ancestors, millions of them. Many of them set out to live 2 by 2. Well, it's all my sermon. It wasn't very long anyway.
But this morning at breakfast they came over me. There was Emily eating her breakfast as she's done for 17 years, and she's going out of my house. I suppose that's it. And Emily, she suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. And she put her head on the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say something. You know, there's something downright cruel to sending girls into marriages like that. It's cruel, I know. I went into as blind as about myself. The whole world's wrong. That's what's the matter. There they come.
The divine arose and swelling, joy of heaven to earth come down. Fix in us thy humble dwelling, all thy faithful mercies crown. Jesus, thou art all compassion, pure unbounded love thou art. Visit us with thy salvation, and every trembling heart.
Oh, George! George, what's the matter?
Oh, Mom, I don't want to grow old. Why's everyone pushing me so?
Why, George, you wanted it!
No, Mom, listen to me.
No, George, you're a man now.
Mom, for the last time, I ask you. All I want to do is be a fella.
Now, George, stop it! If anyone should hear you, why, I'm ashamed of you!
But where's Emily?
Oh, George, you gave me such a turn.
Cheer up, Mom. I'm getting married.
Let me catch my breath a minute.
Now, Mom, you saved Thursday nights. Emily and I are going to come over every Thursday night. You'll see. Mom, you look all funny. What are you crying for? Come on, Mom, we got to get ready for this.
Breathe thy loving spirit into every troubled breast. Let us all in thee inherit. Let us find that sacred rest. Take away our bitter sin
I hearing?
I don't want to get married.
Wait, what?
I'd like to stay for a while. Just as I am. Let's go away somewhere.
No, Emily, just calm down a minute. Take a deep breath.
But Papa, don't you remember what you used to say? All the time, I was your girl. There must be lots of places we could go. I'd work for you. I could keep house.
No, Emily, just... George, come here a minute. You are marrying a fine young man. I cannot pick another better fellow for you. George, I'm giving you my daughter today. You think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to. I want to try. I love you, Emily. I need you.
If you love me, help me. I wanted someone to love me.
Emily, I will. Emily, I'll try.
And I mean forever. Do you hear? Forever and ever.
Come, they're waiting for us.
You, George, take this woman, Emily, to your
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I've ever been to. Oh, I do love a good wedding, don't you? Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
I do. And you, Emily, take this man, George, to your lawful
Don't know when I've been to such a nice wedding, but I always cry. I don't know why it is, I just always cry. I like to see young people happy, don't you? Oh, I think it's lovely. I do.
The ring. I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I suppose so. M marries N, millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, the afternoon rides in the Ford, the rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times, it's interesting.
Oh, I'm still looking happy, don't you? That's what I always say, happiness. That's the important thing. The great thing is to be happy.
Time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in growth corners. Horses are getting rare. Farmers are coming to town now with Fords. Everybody locks the doors now at night. Ain't been any burglars, but everybody's heard about them. You'd be surprised, though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Crocus Corners. It's on a hilltop, windy hilltop. Lots of clouds, lots of sky, often lots of sun and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon and you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue they are. Up by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. And if you go way up, you can see the White Mountains and Mount Washington, where Conway and North Conway are. And over there is our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock. And all around it lie these towns, Jaffrey and North Jaffrey, Peterborough and Dublin. And way down there is Grover's Corners. Beautiful spot this is. Mountain laurel and lilacs. I often wonder why people would want to be buried in places like Brooklyn or Woodlawn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Over here are the old stones. 1660, 1670. Strong-minded people come a long way to be independent. Summer people walk around there and laugh at the funny words they read on the tombstones. It don't do any harm. And genealogists come up here from Boston, paid by city people to check on their ancestors. They want to make sure they're daughters of the American Revolution, of the Mayflower. I guess it don't do any harm either. Over here are some Civil War veterans. iron flags on their graves, New Hampshire boys, had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they hadn't seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends, the United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. This here's the new part of the cemetery. There's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs, and Mr. Stimson, the organist of the Congregational Church. And here's Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so much, you remember. And a lot of others. There's Editor Webb's boy, Wallace. His appendix burst on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. An awful lot of sorrow has sort of quieted down up here. People, just wild with grief, have brought their relatives up here, and then times, sunny days, rainy days, snow. We all know how it is. A lot of thoughts come up here night and day, but there ain't no post office. Now, there are some things that we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal, and it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. There's something that's eternal about every human being. And yet, you'd be surprised at how people are always letting go of that fact. There's something way down deep that's eternal about every human being. You know, the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they let go of their hold of the earth and the ambitions they had, and the pleasures they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved. They get weaned away from earth. That's the way I put it. They get weaned away. They sit up here while the earth part of them burns away, burns out, all the while slowly growing indifferent to the things going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they feel is coming, something important and great. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part of them to come out clear? Now, some of the things they're going to say maybe will hurt your feelings, but that's just the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser, all those terribly important things kind of grow pale around here. And what's left? What's left when memory's gone and your identity, Mrs. Smith? Here come some living people now. There's Joe Stoddard, our undertaker, come here to supervise a new-made grave. And that's Samantha Craig, local Grover's Corners girl who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Let me see. Do I know you? I'm Samantha Craig. Gracious sakes alive, of all people. Should have known you'd be coming back for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Samantha.
Yes, I've been away over 12 years. I married a fellow who was out in business in Buffalo, but I was in the East and I heard the news of my cousin's death. So I thought I'd come by just a little and head out and see the old home. You look well.
Yes, yes. Yes, I would say. Hate to supervise when a young person is taken.
Old Farmer McCarthy. I used to do chores for him after school. He had lumbago.
Yes, we brought old Farmer McCarthy here a number of years ago now.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she'd... Of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 2-3 years ago now. Today's another bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's girl, Samantha. Samantha Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Usually the family picks a verse.
Doesn't sound like my Aunt Julia. Well, I suppose there ain't many of those Percy sisters left now. Let me see. I want to look at my father's and mother's.
Over there with the Craigs, Avenue F.
He was an organist at church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Nobody was supposed to know about it. He'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. Just an epitaph. You can see it there. It ain't a verses halfway.
Why, it's just some notes of music. What is it?
Well, I wouldn't know. It was written up in the Boston papers at the time.
Joe? What did she die of?
Who?
My cousin, Emily.
Oh, you didn't know? Had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. Twas her second, though. There's a little boy, about 4 years old.
And the grave's going to be over here.
Yes, there's much more room over here among the Gibbses, so I brought a whole new Gibbs section. Over there, Avenue B. Oh, excuse me now, I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia?
My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Oh, my. The road must have been awful muddy coming up. What did she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Oh, childbirth. I'd forgotten all about that. Why wasn't life awful? And wonderful.
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember Emily reading the class poem of graduation exercises. Emily was the brightest girl ever graduated from high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called on them at their new farm, just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
It's on the same road we used to live on.
That's my phone.
Let's see the sky that binds our hearts in Christian love. The fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they were singing a hymn.
Hello? Hello, Emily. Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily?
It's raining.
Yes, they'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
Seen thousands and thousands
For our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aims, our warm, our comforts and our cares.
Papa remembered I liked that hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. Well, how do you do, Mr. Simpson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have made the farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you the whole time. We wanted to show you the new barn and a great long cement drinking fountain we put in there for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did?
Yes, Mother Gibbs. Don't you remember the legacy you left us? Why, it was over $350.
Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on this drinking fountain so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs, and it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. Live people don't understand much, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy is spending the day at Mr. Carter's. Oh, Mrs. Carter! My boy is spending the day at your house. Is he? Yes, he loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford, too. Never gives any trouble. I don't drive, though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long does it...
Hush, dear. Just wait and be patient.
I know. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing my flowers to you. Oh, he looks just like George, doesn't he? Mother Gibbs, I never realized before how troubled and how in the dark live persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. morning till night. That's all they are. Troubled.
A little cooler than it was.
Aye, that rain's cooled off a bit now.
Those northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they? If taint to rain, it's a 3-day blow.
Mother Gibbs. When can you go back? When can you go back there again? Into living. I feel it. I know it. Why, just then, for a moment, I was thinking about the farm. And for a minute, I was there. And my little baby was on my lap. As plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
I can go and live all those days over again? Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go and live back there again?
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it would be.
Well, I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day I first knew I loved George. Why should that be painful?
Because you'll not only live it, but you'll watch yourself living it.
Yes.
And as you watch yourself living it, you see what they, down there, never know. You can see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll understand that our life here is to forget all that and to look only to what is ahead and to be ready for what is ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
Mother Gibbs, how could I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had.
Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No! At least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
Then it can't be since I was married, since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. It's February 12th, 1899. Do you want any particular time of day?
I want the whole day.
All right. We'll begin at dawn. You remember it had been snowing, but it had stopped the night before, and they had begun clearing the roads. The sun's coming up.
Why, there's Main Street. And there's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And that's the livery stable.
Yes. It's 14 years ago. It's 1899.
Oh, that's the town I knew as a little girl. And there's the old white fence that used to go around our house. I'd forgotten that. I love it so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother will be coming down to get breakfast any minute now.
Will she?
Yes, and you remember your father had been away.
No.
He had gone to make a speech at his college in western New York at Clinton.
There's Howie Newsom!
Giddy up, Bessie!
And there's Joe Crowell!
Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Joe.
Mama, I'm here! I'm coming! Oh, how young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young.
You can come and just by the kitchen coffee light, but hurry. Good morning, Mr. Newsom.
Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Oh, it's cold.
Yep, 10 below at my barn.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Okay. Giddy up, Bessie.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid out for you special on the dresser. This snake would have bitten you.
Yes, yes.
Morning, Mother.
How'd it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yeah, can't think of anything that's happened special. It's been right cold. Howie Newsom said it's time to go over to his farm.
It's even colder than that in Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it, Charles. And Charles, don't forget, if Emily
Good morning, Mama.
Well now, dear, a very happy birthday to my girl, and many happy returns. There's surprises waiting for me on the kitchen table.
Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. Down in the blue paper is from your Aunt Nora, and I reckon you can guess about the postcard album. George Gibbs must have brought in the clothes pretty early. Very nice of him.
George? I'd forgotten that.
Chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Oh, Mama, just look at me 1 minute as if you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. I married George Gibbs, Mama. And Molly's dead, too. He died on a camping trip to Crawford Notch. We all felt just terrible about it, don't you remember? And Mama, just for a moment now, we're all together. Just for a moment, let's be happy. Mama, let's look at one another.
That in the yellow paper is something I found at your grandmother's thing. You're old enough to wear it, and I thought you'd like it.
This is from you? It's beautiful.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Hunted all over. Your Aunt Nora couldn't buy one in Concord, so I sent all the way from Boston. Wally has something for you, too. He made it in manual training class, and he's very proud of it. Make sure you make a big fuss about it. Your father has something for you, too. Don't know what it's myself. Shh, here I come.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It all goes so fast. You don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all that was going on, and we never noticed? Take me back, up the hill. But first, wait. One more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Grover's Corners. Goodbye to clocks ticking, and Mama and Papa, and my butternut tree, and Mama's sunflowers, and food, and coffee, and new iron dresses, and hot baths. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. I didn't realize. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?
No. Saints and poets, maybe. They do some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No! I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Well, Mr. Simpson, I should have listened to them.
Yes, now you know. Now you know that's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance, trampling up and down on the feelings of those about you. To always be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Yes, that's the happy existence you wanted to go back to. Blindness and ignorance.
That ain't the whole truth, and you know it, Simon Stimson. Emily, look at that star. I forget its name.
My boy Joel was a sailor. Knew 'em all. He'd sit on the porch evenings and tell 'em all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful.
Star's mighty good company.
Yes. Yes, 'tis.
There's one of them coming.
That's funny. Taking time for them to be around here.
Goodness sakes.
Mother Gibbs, it's George.
Rest yourself, dear.
It's George.
And my Joel, who knew the stars, he used to say it took millions of years for that little speck of light to get down to Earth. Don't think a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Goodness sakes. That ain't no way to behave.
He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily?
they don't understand, do they?
No, dear.
They don't understand.
Most of the lights are off in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on those still. Down in the depot where Shorty Hawkins has just watched the Albany train go by. And in the livery stables where some people are setting up talking. It's clearing up. There are the stars, doing their old crisscross in the skies. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think there are no living beings up there, just chalk or fire. Only this one's straining away all the time to make something of itself. The strain's so great that every 16 hours, everybody lies down and gets a rest.